What's the scientific fact that creeps you out? Obligate siblicide. In some species of animals, multiple offspring are born but only one is actually raised by the mother. The others are born only as backup in case the firstborn doesn't survive. When the firstborn is fine, which is the typical case, it kills the others. I remember witnessing a mantis egg case hatching in my high school science class. I asked the teacher, what could possibly be small enough for them to eat? And he was just casually like, they'll eat each other. I have similar feelings about intrauterine cannibalism. Honestly, nothing is more creepy than how deep-sea anglerfish mate. The deep sea is dark, and the anglerfish are spread very thinly. Therefore, when an anglerfish meets another anglerfish, it's incredibly important they get the chance to mate over and over again. The evolutionary strategy that deep-sea anglerfish devised is extra creepy. The male latches onto the female, biting her and never letting go. That way he can inseminate the eggs she drops. Not that bad so far, right? But wait, how does he eat if he's latched on his mate? Well, the circulatory systems fuse and the female provides nutrients for the male through this fused circulatory system. The true horror starts here. The organs of males start to wither and atrophy, being absorbed into the female. Eventually, the male is reduced to a lump of testicles the females use to fertilize their eggs. Females are often covered in bumps of several males that have melted into the female, becoming a literal body horror lump of meat on the female. Maybe it's good H.P. Lovecraft didn't survive to the days of the internet, he would have had a field day with this one. A fever is your body way of saying, we don't negotiate with terrorists. We either destroy the enemy or we die with them. COVID, heh, time to tell the lungs to kill themselves. Immune system, fuck you. I will beat you and the lungs because I'm that angry. Immune system, haha, at 42 degrees Celsius the bacteria will die brain, but we will die to FFS. Caterpillars turn completely into goo in their cocoon, and then become a butterfly. Edit, this blew up. According to my inbox, many people have been creeped out. A good day's work. And there is evidence they retain memories from their pre-goo days. Memories of strong positive/negative stimuli that they show preference for/aversion to, even after metamorphosis. I'm not a caterpillarologist, but I've read somewhere that their neural network stays at least partially intact. Because of some pesticides used, roaches won't go anywhere near a meth lab. Edit, didn't expect this much after reading some RPF. For those you are asking, meth labs have been known to produce toxic gas, like phosphine, which are common insecticide. Phosphine is often used in silos to deal with vermins. Let's just take a moment to appreciate the fact we don't have so deal with swarms of cranked up cockroaches. FBI. Open up. Your home is roach-free. Your brain is making decisions before you are even aware of the decisions it has made. It also makes decisions based off of learned behavior and you just go along with it. A study actually showed your limbs, fingers, toes, etc., react to stimuli before your brain sends the response to do so. It's like how you tell yourself to not think about anything, but in the process you are thinking about not thinking. That as the permafrost melts, a lot of locked up methane will be released, and microorganisms there will wake up and do their jobs, breaking down organic matter, and release more methane and greenhouse gases. And possible ancient diseases. A gamma ray burst could wipe out all life on Earth instantly with no warning. A fucking what? When the Titanic sank, none of the shoes decomposed, so there's ton of shoes at the bottom of the ocean. Free shoes. Why wouldn't they decompose? I'd assume they're leather, just another form of skin. Is it because of the temperature? The salt? That there are little crab-like things crawling on your face. So if I boil my face I have a lunch. Yes, follicle mites. They live on your eyelashes. That the only reason you are a functional human is that your DNA is so tangled that entire sections can't get decoded and screw it up. Actually better one, if you disconnect the halves of the brain and ask them to pick out something they prefer, your hands will disagree. What's your favorite color will result in one hand choosing red but one choosing green. Go look up split brain patients. Some mutations of just one letter in the DNA code can kill the fetus almost instantly, but some people live and have a seemingly healthy life while missing a whole chromosome. If you understand anything about biology, that's completely wild. I think mutations in cytochrome C are pretty much lethal, and cytochrome C has barely changed in millions of years. I work with children with special needs. You'd be surprised to find out how many kids you think just have a generic or common disability actually have a super rare chromosome mutation. I know more than one child where fewer than 100 people in the world have been diagnosed with their particular condition. In some cases a piece of a chromosome has broken off and their disability is due to where it reattached to another chromosome. Science is amazing. And this is just based on the kids whose parents did genetic sequencing. There are so many we would never know. Edit, and they're all awesome kids. Taking this moment with a highly rated comment to remind you all that using words like retards and autists to call yourself and others stupid is a slur. I don't mean if you actually have autism and are discussing yourself, I'm talking about the posts on WSB. It sucks to see the R word making a comeback. We can do better. Try a different word, it's not that hard. Sea stars eject their stomachs to cover edible parts of their prey, begin digesting it externally, and then pull the partially digested prey into digestive glands to finish the job. Starfish feeding mechanism edited for continuity/grammar. There is something called the squeeze, where when people had old scuba suits with tubes, you could actually get sucked into the tube if the pressure was off. You were literally shredded through your own breathing tube. Wasn't there a deep sea dive where the pressure was off and a guy got sucked into a tube on an underwater work site? I can't remember the exact situation, but I do know that he basically just got sucked up into it and shredded. Hate to be that guy, but that's hard hat surface supplied diving, not scuba. Scuba is by definition self-contained. But yes, it is possible. Mythbusters showed it in rather spectacular fashion, though the pig carcass didn't actually make it all the way up the tube. Edit, for those interested, here is the Mythbusters video warning, a little gory, though broadcast TV gory. Thinking about how breathing and lungs work freaks me out. Once I start thinking about it, all I can think about is my breathing, and then I have to force myself to stop thinking about it. Thinking about it always switches my breathing to manual rather than automatic. Fun fact, your brain unconsciously tells your lungs to exhale CO2, the body's natural byproduct of oxygen. If you inhale pure nitrogen, you don't exhale. Your brain thinks, success. No more CO2 to get rid of. Cue CPR. The sudden urge to jump off of a very high height. You can be physically and mentally stable to the greatest degree and still have this feeling when at such a high height. I heard it's the call of the void, and it's a normal human thought. Doctors/scientists are barely keeping up with the influenza virus. It keeps on mutating rapidly. It really wants to get inside you. At least something wants to. Let me in. Let me in. That so many vegetables came from the same plant. Broccoli, kale, kohlrabi, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, etc. They are, botanically speaking, the same species. Humans have just bred them to emphasize different traits: buds, leaves, tubers. Imagine if humans were as genetically flexible. Imagine a person walking around with giant toes, but otherwise normal. Actually, plant genetics in general is a weird world. I mean, if we spent generations selectively breeding ourselves based on traits like giant toes, something like that could happen. Just look at dogs. You get and cure cancer in your own body thousands of times a day. Excuse me, what? If you believe strongly enough that you have been cursed, your brain can shut itself off entirely in severe cases. The psychological term for it is voodoo death syndrome. It's just the fact you can literally think yourself to death that unsettles me so. Our brains are fascinating. If we believe strongly enough that something is real, our bodies respond accordingly. In the same vein as your example, the same phenomenon happens to women who desperately want to be pregnant. Their bellies will swell, their menstrual periods will stop, their breasts will become sore and enlarged, and they'll develop morning sickness. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.